안녕하세요. 제 이름은 리셀 카레입니다. 제가 왜 이 비디오 만든 이유는 제 자기소개도 하고 싶었고 제 영어 가르치는 실력이 좀 보여주고 싶었습니다. 먼저 자기소개부터 하겠습니다. 저는 23살 미국 여자입니다. 그리고 지난 5월에 하와이 대학교 졸업했습니다. 하와이 대학교에서 제 전공은 한국어였어요. 그래서 지금 한국말로 얘기하고 있습니다. 저는 왜 한국말 배우는 이유는 저는 원래 언어 배우는 것을 좋아했으니까요. 그리고 저는 한국 문화한테 관심이 너무 많습니다. 특히 한국 음악하고 한국 드라마한테 관심이 많습니다. 그 한국 드라마하고 음악을 이해하기 위해서 저는 한국말을 배우고 싶었습니다. 한국말을 더 연습하고 싶으니까 서울에 있는 서강대학교를 갔습니다. 서강대학교에서 한국말도 공부했고 한국 친구도 많이 사귀었습니다. 그 친구들이랑 한국말도 했지만 영어 많이 연습했습니다. 그리고 한국에 있을 때는 오는 여고등학생한테 영어를 가르쳤습니다. 이것 때문에 저는 한국에서 영어 가르치는 선생님 되고 싶습니다. So that was my brief introduction to myself and why I learned Korean and why I want to go to Korea and teach English. So now what I would like to do is I would like to give you a brief introduction to some techniques and a lesson that I would like to share with some students, hopefully at your school. So the lesson I've thought about is spring. And the reason why I chose spring is because spring is coming up soon and I thought it would be a great idea to teach the children some words for spring in English. So first what I like to do is I just give the children a brief explanation of spring. It's okay if they don't fully understand what I'm saying because later on in the lesson I will be using lots of imagery to connect the students to the topic of spring. So first I would let them know spring is the season after winter and before summer. And in spring you will notice flowers blooming and growing, and you will also notice the grass growing. You will notice things turning green. You will notice more sunshine and longer days, and you will also see people outside much more playing and just being outside. So first, after I do my brief introduction, I would like to jump right into vocabulary because I think it's important to understand the vocabulary to understand the topic. So I have a few different ways which I will go over vocabulary with the students. The first way that I would like to share with you is just by first introducing the vocabulary. And the first way I would like to do that is through vocab cards featuring pictures. This is really good for elementary school students. So the first picture I would show them is example plant. And on the card you can see the word plant and you can also see different varieties of plants. And this way the students can tie the imagery of plant with the word plant in English. The next word that I would like to share with the students is grass. Grass is a part of plants, so I think it's important to let them know the different types of plants that grow in spring or that you start to see grow. So you can see we have a picture of some grass. And the next word we'd go over is tree. Trees are also, you will see leaves. So another word that I would also include in the list, which I haven't included in this, is leaves. And you can see leaves growing on trees in the spring. The next word is flowers, and I think this is what people think of the most when they think of spring. They think of spring and flowers. So you have a nice picture of flowers and they'll see the word flower and hopefully be able to write that down and spell it out themselves. And the last word I have is grow. And grow ties in all the other words that I've used because all of the other things that I've talked about are things that grow. And so as you can see on the card, you have a little image of a tiny plant getting bigger and bigger. And this way the children can see the action and see that grow is a verb, to grow. So that's how I would like to introduce the students to the vocabulary. And after introducing them to the vocabulary, it's very important to practice the vocabulary. So one way is we can go from just going with vocabulary to you can use some grammar as well, some very elementary grammar. So I have an example of a sentence that I can offer the students and they would just be able to fill in the blank. This is just one sentence, but they could say, I like, for example, plants, or I like flowers. And this sentence will also work well with some of the other vocab words that I have that I didn't mention, which is I would like to speak about some activities that people do in spring, such as going bike riding. And there's actually a whole nother way which I would introduce those to the students, along with the grammar part of it. With that, you can take a chalkboard or a whiteboard and draw as you teach the students the words. So for example, if I said bike, because people like to ride bikes in the spring, you can just draw a picture of a bike. And the students can see that, and they can see how people would ride a bike in spring. Or another example of a vocab word, activity word that you can use would be baseball. So you simply draw a picture of a baseball, and there you have it, baseball. And then next to the word, the picture of baseball, you can write the word baseball. And students can tie the word with the image. And they can use that as well in their grammar worksheet, which would include things like I like baseball, I like spring, I like flowers, things like that. Those are simple for students, and when you get higher elementary, we can allow them to combine the words in their vocab list more, such as like they could say plants grow or something like that. So that's another way that I'd be able to introduce not only vocab but also grammar to the students, which I think is really important. Another way that I would have the students practice their vocabulary is I would have the students play a game called Pictionary. In Pictionary, all you need to do is you have the student take one of the vocab cards, like for example, grass. So there's some grass, and you give it to a student and tell them not to say it out loud or show it to any of the other students. And then with that, all they have to do is go to the board and draw a picture of grass. And after they draw a picture of grass, you have the other students guess what it is in English. So that way they can have another way to tie in the vocabulary to an image and therefore be able to use it better in their grammar and their sentences. And the last thing I like to do is a really fun way to tie in everything from the spring lesson plan that I have, and that is through, since they're in elementary school, coloring. So what I have here is a coloring page, and on the coloring page you allow the students to color in all the different elements of the page, but not only do they color in the page, you label each part of the picture. So for example, you have a picture of a flower. So next to that, you have them write flower next to that. And that way, it's like a really good synopsis of what they've done that day. Okay, so that was my lesson plan, and that is about what spring is and how I would let the students have different types of activities that would allow them to learn spring vocabulary and also some grammar along with that. So I'd like to thank you for watching my video, and I hope I have the chance to work with you and your students in the near future. Thank you very much. And again, my name is Alicia Carter.